Gordon Ferguson, President and CEO of St. Thomas Rutherford Hospital.
Orthopedic surgeon Dr. Lydia White is our Heart for Healing honoree. The listener writes,
I was having painful rotator cuff issues, and a friend recommended that I see Dr. White. During our initial visit, she calmed my fears and answered my questions. She repaired my rotator cuff, and now 6 months later, I feel great. Dr. White is very professional. She listens and she cares.
Dr. Lydia White is our Heart for Healing honoree and receives dinner for two at the fabulous Alley on Main Street restaurant.
I am free of pain, thanks to Dr. White.
Thank you, orthopedic surgeon Dr. Lydia White.
Submit your Heart for Healing nomination to WGNS.
We break in with traffic, news, and weather bulletins anytime. Good Neighbor Talk is your 24/7 connection. WGNS, AM, FM, and online. Rutherford Issues with Brian Barrett on FM 101.9 and AM 1450 Murfreesboro, FM 100.5 Smyrna, and streaming at WGNSradio.com.
Rutherford Issues powered by Middle Tennessee Electric. Take control of your account management and energy consumption with the MyMTE app. You can download in the App Store to manage your account, improve your energy habits, and more. MTE, serving to make life better since 1936. And that was about the year Mike Sparks was born. Good morning, Mr. Sparks.
Hey, Brian. How you doing?
I'm good. You're just going to gloss over that. That's good. Rob Mitchell, good morning, sir.
Good morning. How are you doing?
Doing great. Our Rutherford County property assessor here and state representative. What is it, 49th?
Man, you should know this. It's only been 13 years.
Well, I don't.
Don't
number
you know
doesn't
all
matter.
your elected officials, Brian?
I do know
You're
them.
sitting there complaining off the air about what's the road at Leanna you've been talking about for 15 years. And
well, you haven't done anything about it, so.
We try. Hey, it took us 20 years to get Jefferson Pike improved. You know, I rode down that the other day, and it's looking good. It's still,
it is.
It still has a way to go, but road projects, as we all know, sadly it takes years to get them done.
So why didn't you do it all the way instead of just halfway?
You know how expensive that would be? I mean, it would be
with pockets like yours
to be
and influence.
$100 million to go to 96. I mean, I'd like to see it eventually happen, but it's like I told Bob Spivey years ago about the new interchange we want to do at Rocky Fork Road and I-24. I said, Mayor, it's just not going to happen in your lifetime, you know. And I hate to be that direct to Bob, but I think it'll eventually. And Smyrna Mayor Reed and the council and Brian Hercules have done a great job with improving Inland Springs Road. Have you been through there in a while?
Oh, yeah.
Man, it really looks great. And Smyrna's done their part. You know, we've got to do our part, and the Federal Highway Administration hopefully does their part with the approval. But, you know, road projects and red lights, things like that. I mean, but it takes a public outcry to really motivate TDOT and others to get the plan in place. And sadly, sometimes it even takes, hate to say it, I mean, I've always heard it takes fatality, but on Jefferson Pike, to be honest, it probably took that latest fatality to bump that project up at least a year or two.
I think that's the frustration that a lot of people have with traffic. I mean, you're sitting in traffic and you know, it's almost like the road projects are always so much later down the road when traffic's so bad and so dangerous and on the major roadways because we're growing so fast, but we can't keep up, it seems.
Mayor Cole, Jason Cole out of Laverne, texted me the other day. He had heard that TDOT wasn't going to work on the red light at the Laverne side of Jefferson Pike. And I know that whole project is like a master plan, and Brian Hercules and the town of Smyrna working on that, meet with TDOT. And I mean, I was even in a car wreck as a young boy there. I was about 4 or 5. I remember seeing the car come up because back then, you know, we didn't use seat belts, and I remember standing up in the front seat. It was at night, and a car coming from Laverne hit us they may have been running 70 and hit my mom, and luckily she's in a 66 Pontiac, I guess Catalina station wagon. Man, that thing was a bomb, and it didn't hurt us. And but I remember seeing the people, and I seen the car on the ditch, and I remember the officer treating us so good. Officer was Beatty, I believe his name was. This had to have been 1971, 72. But that Jefferson Pike at Laverne, they've had some fatalities. But a lot of that was speed was a factor in that. But it's a dangerous project. But sadly the wheels of government turn slow. But you look at Smyrna at San Bernardino Parkway, man, it looks great through there. I mean, so hats off to Smyrna for their assertiveness and working with TDOT to get that improved.
Yeah, but in 10 years, what's the volume going to be on that road? That's just always the trouble, isn't it?
I met with THP Colonel Matt Perry and Jason Powell, who's Democrat in Nashville. We've had this illegal street racing going on from I-24 to it seems like mainly it's the Hickory Hollow area and some of Rutherford County, and so we're trying to see what we can do to kind of curtail some of that. So we had a meeting with Matt Perry, and I was telling Matt, because one lawmaker wants to take cars, wants to start confiscating cars if they've like second or third offense, and that's probably what's going to end up happening because we had that fatality up in Clarksville. That young Army medic was killed, left 3 kids behind, and so I was telling the colonel, I said, I remember when I was a kid, we done some things that on San Bernardino Parkway we would drag race, and I probably shouldn't share it live on the radio, but back then there was no cars around. You know what I mean? There was no cars, and plus our vehicles we thought were fast. They weren't fast compared to these Dodge Chargers and people spending $50,000, $100,000 on modifications. But it has been a growing problem with the traffic that we've got. So if any listeners have ideas to help curtail that, let me or the THP know before we have another fatality on the road.
We've got State Representative Mike Sparks here, along with Rutherford County Property Assessor Rob Mitchell, and you invited Rob up today. So,
are you gonna share what you were just saying off the air
about?
So you don't want to share off the air what you don't want to share it on the air.
Do you share everything on the air that you say? I didn't think so.
But anyway, Rob and I are friends, and Rob, I always call him the tax assessor. And he gets offended. Yeah, why do you get offended by that?
Because it's wrong.
Well, what's right?
It's property assessor.
Okay.
Tax assessors are people that levy the taxes, which are the county commission, the city councils, and the mayors of the different jurisdictions.
Yeah.
It'd be like calling Ted Beatty the tax collector.
Okay.
Which, wait a minute, I guess he kind of is.
Is he? Yeah.
but I mean.
So in the biblical days, he would have been Paul taking up the Matthew rather.
There were no property assessors in biblical days. They were just tax collectors.
Yeah, and they were hated, weren't they?
Yeah, they really were.
Isn't that sad? Do you feel sorry for them?
No.
They think it's you, though.
Yeah, they think it's me. That's what
One thing I'll compliment Rob. I've got this TASER affordable housing study that we're going to be implementing. And one thing you have spoke up where I would argue most elected officials wouldn't speak up, to be honest, because you care about the housing situation. I mean, you had something you were sharing about a property tax freeze with seniors.
Yeah, we've got, first off, let me premise this. I will not make any statement or propose anything that I do not believe that we can do. 2% of Tennesseans currently take advantage of the senior tax relief program. 17% of Tennesseans are over the age of 65. So, out of a population of 7.07 million people, we have only 2% of that population, or 144,000 people, out of 7 million that are actually receiving any benefit from tax relief. Now, tax relief is better than nothing. It's been around for 50 years. Yes. But you have to be in poverty to be able to qualify. And very few people that are actually in poverty still own their property. They don't. They've had to sell it. They've been forced out. And that's particularly a problem in Middle Tennessee. So as somebody that sees the numbers, because that's what we do, we work with the numbers, I believe we can do better. So I'm proposing the Golden Homeowners Tax Relief Program, which is nothing more than an extension of the current property tax relief program to include anyone over the age of 65 who's lived in Rutherford County for who's lived in Tennessee for 20 years or more. So you've lived in Tennessee, you've owned your property, you've paid your taxes. At some point in time, we as a community and as a civilization should be able to say to our seniors who have built our communities, thank you, good and faithful servant.
Yeah.
You have done enough. We're going to take the rest of it from here. Enjoy the rest of your life.
Yes. Yes.
When you mentioned that we wouldn't do anything that couldn't be paid for, I guess, or so. How did you come up with the parameters of 20 years and this age and that kind of thing?
Well, we currently the current tax relief program has 144,000 individuals. Now, it is reimbursed through vouchers from the state of Tennessee. So the state of Tennessee is actually giving money to the seniors or to disabled veterans to pay off a portion of their property taxes that they pay. Now,
so they actually get that physical money and then they pay the full amount?
They get a voucher.
Oh, okay. They get a voucher.
They get a voucher. Now,
gotcha.
That sounds like that's a great deal. In Rutherford County, that amounts to $145. That's the maximum benefit a senior can get. And most property taxes run between the county portion between $1,300 and $3,000 a year. So $145 is great. It's better than, a kick in the head. but it may cover a week's worth of groceries. It may cover an electric bill in the summertime.
And if your property taxes are, $1,000 a year, then it's a small dent, right?
It's a small amount. So, knowing that we have a surplus, an unbudgeted surplus at the state of Tennessee of $2 billion plus, that would actually exactly cover the amount of tax relief for every senior in the state of Tennessee. It would wipe out that budget. Now, that being said, you have to have some type of qualification to prevent people from moving into the community from California, cashing out, coming here, buying their McMansions, and then having a ton of money in the bank, but having contributed nothing to the development of the community. I came up with 20 years. Why 20 years? The average mortgage in Tennessee is paid off in between 13 and 15 years. So if you've owned property here and you've paid your taxes, you would have owned your property and paid your portion within that period of time. And really, the whole idea for doing this came from sitting right here when I was talking to Scott Walker a while back. He had me on and we were talking about the programs and he got me actually thinking, why can't we do this? And I think in a lot of situations, there's a lot of reasons why we can't do something. Saying why you can't do something, that's easy. It's easy to say, well, we can't do that. It's easy just to say no. But what is more difficult, and like my wife says, we were elected, Mike and I we were elected to positions to lead, to provide some kind of leadership. And if there is a need, if there's a benefit that we can provide to our citizens, it's our moral duty to find a way to make that happen. So we started a petition. We've gotten right now over 1,100 signatures. I've gotten calls from property assessors in Mountain City, Tennessee, to West Tennessee, over in Lake County. They've actually called and said, this will really help our citizens a great deal. We're behind it. What do we need to do to make this happen? So
state lawmakers will have to pass something of this nature,
state lawmakers would just simply have to pass, not to change anything per se, but just to extend the current expand the current existing law. Just take off the income requirements on it and place another qualifier on it. It's in Representative Sparks' hands.
Okay. Yeah.
So
Trish,
will you carry it, Representative Sparks?
Well, let me look at it. I mean, seriously. Well, just get our whole entire delegation look at it. And if the county commission, I mean, we value the county commission's input. I mean, if the county commission sends us something, we try to value what they're saying. So I would pitch it to Chairman Harris, Mayor Carr, and Pettis Reed, and some others, see what their thoughts are.
Got just a couple of minutes left here, but was this a guest?
Yeah. Hey, Trish, you there?
I'm here.
Hey, wanted you to. I know that I wanted you to talk about the wings.
I want a happy belated birthday to Rob, and also, so in favor of this because we live in Arrington, but we live in Rutherford County.
Yep.
So Rob and I've had this conversation. He knows our house has increased a lot.
Yes, ma'am.
And so has our property tax. So, we still we're retired. So for our property tax to keep going up, the value of our house, and we're 80. So, this is, I think, a wonderful thing.
Well, we have a state representative right here, Trish, that is just anxious to hear from you about why he should carry this and be your advocate.
You get the county commission to sign off. Okay.
Be careful what you say.
Yeah, let's get the county commission's input.
Well, state's got to vote on it. You're just
The
passing the buck, but that's all right.
County commission doesn't have anything to do with this.
We do value their input if they're listening.
Isn't that fun when you hold his feet to the fire? He gets squirmy.
Well, hey, Proverbs says there's wisdom in the multitude of counselors. I want more input on any issue.
Input, I'm giving him input.
Yeah.
So Mike's been my great representative.
Wanted you to give a shout out to your husband, Dr. Nash. I think he's been working on our fish fry for 21 years. That's this Saturday, Wings of Freedom Fish Fry. You can get tickets at the Smyrna Airport, 6 to roughly probably 10.
No, it's 5 to 9.
5 to 9. 5 to 9. Thank you for correcting me. So we wanted to give a shout out. Eric Brown's our new president. So if folks want to come out, they can Google Wings of Freedom Fish Fry, Smyrna Rotary Club. You could buy tickets at the gate there. Want to get folks to come out, and wanted you to give your husband a shout out.
We'll see Rob there, I'm sure.
I will be there. Yes, ma'am.
Appreciate that, Mike. And yes, it's been a great thing. You used to do the air show, and that just went to a better idea, really, because the air show was weather-wise. Sometimes that could just, do us in. Of course, we survived the pandemic, so that came through. So, we've been through some ups and downs, but it's always seemed we've been more up.
Yes. Well, thank you so much for calling in at the last moment at the short notice.
And Rob, I'm even playing chess now. So.
Oh, that's great. That's terrific.
Not good, but I'm trying. I used to play, and it's kind of coming back.
All right,
Trish, appreciate that.
Great day.
Thank you.
See you Saturday.
And you were mentioning that Mr. Nash had been involved since its inception. It's the 21st Wings of Freedom Fish Fry and Classic Car Cruise In. Find out more at WOF, that's Wings of Freedom, WOFsmyrna.com, and get your tickets there and all that good stuff and have a big time. Mike, Rob, thanks so much for coming in today. It's been fun.
It's my pleasure.
All right.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. That is going to wrap up our conversation this morning. Hey, if you want to check out the podcast, it's WGNSradio.com. Also, wherever you listen to audio, Spotify, Apple Music, Google, all that good stuff. And you can go back and watch the program on YouTube. Just search for News Radio, WGNS, and Big G TV.
Hello friends, Lenny Farmer with Jennings & Ayers Funeral Home. More than I can count, we have taken care of families who were totally caught off guard with the passing of a loved one.